Yesterday, the Thai-Cambodian border erupted in a sudden and shocking burst of violence, shattering the uneasy calm that had lingered for months. In a dramatic escalation, a Thai F-16 fighter jet launched a real airstrike on Cambodian military positions near the disputed Ta Mueang Tam Temple, a centuries-old site that has long been a flashpoint for both nations. The thunderous blast echoed across Southeast Asia, sending shockwaves through border villages and pushing two uneasy neighbors to the very brink of open war. Years of simmering tension marked by sporadic clashes and heated rhetoric have now erupted into open conflict, with both sides exchanging gunfire and accusations. This marks the most serious escalation in a long-standing territorial dispute, with air power now entering the fray and raising the stakes to unprecedented levels. Both nations are rapidly mobilizing troops, reinforcing defensive positions, and digging in for what could become a prolonged standoff, while each side blames the other for the violence. Thailand insists it was responding to Cambodian aggression, claiming self-defense, while Cambodia denounces the airstrike as an unprovoked invasion and a violation of its sovereignty. The truth remains murky, lost in the fog of war, but one thing is clear: the fragile peace that once held is now shattered, leaving civilians anxious and uncertain about what comes next. The world is watching closely, as the stability of Southeast Asia now hangs in the balance, with international media and observers rushing to the scene. ASEAN and the United Nations are scrambling to respond, calling emergency meetings and urging restraint, but the question remains: can they contain this rapidly escalating crisis before it spirals out of control? The next few days will be critical for millions living in the region, as families flee the conflict zone and local residents anxiously follow every development. This is far more than a simple border spat. It's a test of regional diplomacy, leadership, and the fragile peace that has kept Southeast Asia stable for decades. The stakes have never been higher, with both militaries on high alert and the threat of further escalation looming over every decision. Will this conflict be contained through dialogue and diplomacy, or are we witnessing the first sparks of a much larger and more devastating war? Tonight, the world holds its breath, hoping for peace but bracing for what may come next. To truly understand the violence and tension that we see today along the Thai-Cambodian border, we must journey back in time to the early 1900s, when the region was under the shadow of colonial rule. During this era, French colonial authorities drew the border between Thailand and Cambodia, using vague, often inaccurate maps and relying on natural landmarks that shifted with the seasons. This careless mapping left places like the Ta Mueang Tam Temple in a state of legal limbo, with neither side having a clear claim. Over the decades, this uncertainty has fueled generations of nationalist sentiment and suspicion. The ancient temple, constructed by the mighty Khmer Empire centuries ago, stands as a powerful symbol of Cambodian heritage and pride, yet it sits atop a mountain pass that Thailand also claims as its own. For years, both nations have stationed soldiers near the temple, transforming this sacred site into a tense military flashpoint where even small incidents can escalate quickly. The dispute over Ta Mueang Tam echoes the famous Preah Vihear temple conflict, which the International Court of Justice awarded to Cambodia in 1962. A ruling that still stirs resentment and anger among many Thais to this day. For the people who live here, the conflict is deeply personal. It's about identity, belonging, and the land their families have worked for generations, not just distant political decisions. Politicians on both sides often stoke nationalist feelings, using the dispute to rally support and making any real compromise seem impossible. Today, the faded colonial maps and the weathered stones of the temple have become powerful rallying cries, symbols of both injustice and pride in a modern conflict that refuses to fade. The wounds of history run deep here, shaping the lives and memories of those who live along the border and fueling the violence that erupts from time to time. National pride, unresolved history, and the stories passed down through generations keep the dispute alive, ensuring that the past is never truly forgotten. Today, the temple stands as a symbol of both shared heritage and ongoing hostility, watched over by soldiers and marked by warning signs. Here, the past is never far from the present. Every sunrise over the ruins is a reminder of old wounds and unresolved questions. In the end, this conflict is as much about memory, identity, and the stories people tell, as it is about territory and borders. The July 24th clash was the climax of months of rising tension. Skirmishes along the border had become routine, with each side blaming the other. Old landmines and new accusations fueled mistrust. In early July, a landmine incident injured Thai soldiers. Thailand blamed Cambodia, who denied responsibility. Diplomatic ties collapsed. Both countries expelled ambassadors, leaving only military commanders in charge. Fiery rhetoric replaced dialogue, making violence almost inevitable. The immediate trigger. Cambodia began building a road near the disputed temple. Thailand saw this as a land grab and demanded a halt. Cambodia refused. The standoff became the pretext for military action. Both sides dug in, preparing for confrontation. Years of mistrust and failed diplomacy set the stage for war. The border became a powder keg. All it needed was a spark. The fighting erupted at dawn. Thai sources say Cambodian troops attacked a Thai patrol. Cambodia claims Thai soldiers crossed into their territory. Both sides insist they acted in self-defense. The firefight escalated quickly, with reinforcements pouring in. Artillery thundered near the temple ruins. Then, the conflict took a dramatic turn. The Royal Thai Air Force scrambled an F-16. The jet targeted a Cambodian command post, dropping a precision-guided bomb. The explosion ended the ground battle in that sector. The airstrike marked a dangerous new phase. Air power had entered the conflict. Each side blames the other for starting the fight. The truth is lost in the fog of war. The clash has made peace even harder to achieve. The border is now a battlefield. The world is on edge. The real victims are the civilians living near the border. Shells and bullets have struck homes, schools, and markets. At least a dozen civilians are dead, with many more wounded. Thousands have fled to overcrowded shelters, leaving everything behind. Food, water, and medical supplies are running short. Villages have been destroyed, farmland burned, and infrastructure shattered. Recovery will take years, even if the fighting stops now. The psychological toll is immense. Fear and trauma haunt the displaced. Communities once united are now divided by suspicion and grief. The conflict is tearing apart the social fabric. Children are traumatized, families are broken. The scars, physical and emotional, will last long after the guns fall silent. The cost of war is measured in shattered lives. After the airstrike, both governments launched PR offensives. Thailand claims self-defense, showing maps and photos to justify the F-16 strike. Cambodia calls it a barbaric act of war, appealing to the world for support. Each side blames the other, demanding international condemnation. The UN has called for a ceasefire and is convening an emergency meeting. ASEAN faces pressure to intervene, but its non-interference policy limits its options. The crisis threatens the bloc's credibility and regional stability. The US and China have urged restraint, wary of escalation. The world is watching, but action is slow. Without independent observers, the truth remains elusive. Competing narratives fuel the conflict. The region stands at a crossroads. The border clash has ignited political turmoil in both countries. In Thailand, nationalists demand tougher action, while opposition groups blame the government for reckless escalation. The prime minister must appear strong without triggering all-out war. In Cambodia, the government rallies the nation, using the crisis to boost unity and silence dissent. Leaders on both sides are trapped by nationalist fervor, making compromise risky. Military leaders now dominate public life, raising fears of increased military influence, especially in coup-prone Thailand. Rumors swirl of officials using the crisis to test new weapons, sparking calls for investigation. The political fallout is just beginning. Domestic pressure could push leaders toward even riskier decisions. The line between politics and war is blurring. The crisis is reshaping both nations' politics. Leaders are gambling with peace and their own futures. The stakes are higher than ever. This conflict threatens the stability of all Southeast Asia. ASEAN's vision of regional peace is at risk if two members go to war. Other countries with border disputes are watching closely. Violence here could set a dangerous precedent. Economic ties between Thailand and Cambodia are strong. War would devastate trade, investment, and tourism. Instability could scare off investors across the region. The prosperity Southeast Asia has built is now in jeopardy. The conflict could also draw in global powers. The US is allied with Thailand. China backs Cambodia. A proxy conflict is a real danger if fighting continues. The humanitarian cost would be catastrophic. Refugees, casualties, and deepening hatred. The crisis could spill into neighboring countries, destabilizing the Mekong region. The choices made now will shape the region's future. Peace or division, Southeast Asia stands at a turning point. The first and most urgent step must be an immediate ceasefire. No more violence, no more escalation. Every moment of delay risks more lives lost and deepens the wounds between neighbors. The world is watching, and the people on both sides deserve a chance to live without fear. Both sides need to pull back their troops and create space for dialogue, showing restraint and a willingness to resolve differences peacefully. This withdrawal is not a sign of weakness, but a courageous act of hope for a better future. The United Nations and ASEAN must step up and pressure both governments to halt the fighting. Their involvement is crucial to ensure that peace efforts are credible and that both parties are held accountable to international standards. Only then can real negotiations begin, with a neutral mediator at the table. ASEAN is the logical choice, given its regional expertise and commitment to stability. Mediation must be fair, transparent, and focused on long-term solutions. Talks should focus on de-escalation, restoring diplomatic ties, and building trust between the two nations. Confidence-building measures such as regular communication and joint projects can help prevent future misunderstandings. A joint security arrangement with unarmed observers from trusted international organizations could help stabilize the disputed area and reassure local communities. Their presence would deter further violence and provide impartial reporting on the situation. The border issue must be addressed through legal means, possibly by returning to the International Court of Justice. Legal arbitration offers a peaceful path to resolve complex disputes and ensures that both sides are treated fairly under international law. Both governments must lower nationalist rhetoric and prepare their people for compromise. Leaders should speak honestly about the challenges ahead and the benefits of peace, fostering understanding and unity among their citizens. Lasting peace requires courage and political will from both sides. It demands leaders who are willing to make difficult decisions for the greater good, even in the face of opposition. The world must support mediation, technical assistance, and humanitarian aid for those affected by the conflict. International solidarity can help rebuild trust and provide relief to communities caught in the crossfire. This tragedy can become an opportunity for dialogue and cooperation, turning a painful chapter into a new beginning for both nations. The region must choose peace over conflict, a shared future over a divided past. Only by working together can both countries ensure prosperity and security for generations to come. The time to act is now. Delay only increases the risk of further tragedy and makes reconciliation harder to achieve. The guns must fall silent before it's too late. Let this be the moment when peace prevails and hope is restored.